Hi, and welcome to Behavior Bits for June 2020. I'm Tara Yarberry, and I'm a board-certified behavior analyst with the Butte County SELPA. Before we start talking about this month's topic, which is behavioral expectations, I wanted to provide you with two resources. One is our Behavior Services Padlet right here. So this is linked in that slide, and if you need to find it again, you can find all of the slides under the professional development slide deck here. There's also going to be a link when we're done with this where I'm going to put up the June behavior bits that'll have a newsletter with some additional resources and this video that are attached in it under the COVID-19. I also found someone doing similar behavior bits. They have 1 to 2 minutes and in a plethora of languages done some really great stuff. So I wanted to show you one real quick. It's under a minute, and it's the Behavior Response Support Team, which is through the University of Utah and Granite School District. So check this out.
Today's tip, increasing appropriate behavior. Parents can decrease complaining and increase appropriate behaviors. Follow these 3 tips. Verbally remind your child of the expectation to complete the task. Provide praise and attention once they start working and after they complete the task. Allow breaks for your child after they complete a certain amount of work. Thanks for watching.
I would highly recommend liking them on Facebook.
When an actor leaves.
So just wanted to throw that out there and give them kudos. I think what y'all are doing is awesome, and thank you for giving those bites out. I've been sharing a lot on my Facebook page. So, all right, so I want to expand a little bit. They did exactly an amazing part of responding, so I'm not going to focus on sort of how to respond as much, but especially as we're entering into extended school year for some special education teachers and students and families, or leaving school, right? School's going to be done and over here for the year soon, and we're going to enter into our summer schedules. I wanted to link up our conversation last month about schedules and routines in our May behavior bits and talk about our expectations and how to create and form those new expectations, right? So your kid doesn't quite know to throw the temper tantrum because they don't want to do the reading task like you were seeing in the video unless you set that expectation ahead of time, right? So these might also be referred to as boundaries, agreements, rules, norms. But I wanted to speak first to the why. These are important things because it sets everyone up for success. I'm going to teeter between both grown-ups that are providing parenting, co-parenting, and family caregiver or other caregiver supports in the home, as well as speak to school teams and maybe provide some examples for school teams. When I think about the why of setting clear behavioral expectations ahead of time and informing students and kids of what their the response that you're going to provide, depending upon whether they are meeting those expectations or if they're choosing to sort of push back against them, I think that it's really important to provide that ahead of time when we think of how we're supporting kids in a trauma-focused way. So it provides predictability that can really help kids feel more safe and secure, and it minimizes the guesswork. So for new kids or new staff, if you have substitutes coming in, it really helps with that. And overall, it creates a positive impact on our environment and our relationships with our kids. It creates a more camaraderie, and it creates that predictability. Like you said, you were going to do this, you did it. And so now I feel safer, and now I have a better relationship with you. I trust you in a different way. So again, how you do it is I just appreciated that 1 minute. I'm not as succinct as they were. But first, when you're thinking about as a parent, care provider, someone who's taking care of kids in home or community-based settings, or if you're thinking about a classroom team, you want to set these expectations and you want them to be kind of succinct. right? A lot of schools that I work with, part of their PBIS plan is positive behavior interventions and supports that they're putting into their schools is they do a lot of safe, kind, and responsible. And so they can carry those. They're a little vague as just saying safe, kind, and responsible, but we can detail that out when we go into the classroom and what safe, kind, and responsible looks like there. We can take safe, kind, and responsible to the playground, to the lunchroom, right? We can take it to a lot of different places. And then we can detail out what it looks like when we're in those settings and how we are, what we're looking for. So it's less of don't run to be safe, but maybe walking because you don't want to fall. So it's stating things in that way and making sure that you're looking into them across environments. Sometimes I frequently fall into this trap with my 3-year-old is I remember to put out expectations of, okay, right now we're going to do some reading and some stories. So I want, you to have, eyes up here at the book and let's sing together and let's stay sitting when we're going to do this activity, right? So maybe those are my 3 things I'm telling him. And then I'm like, okay, we're done with books and stories. So free time. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, why are all your clothes off? Like, okay, we're at home, so that's cool. But like, I don't want to do that on a walk or so I still have expectations of what I want him to, I don't want you to draw with a marker all over. He did. He totally took the chalk the other day. Thankfully it was chalk and it was outside. We had to have a talk maybe don't use chalk on the walls. We're just going to use chalk on the ground because I realized, gosh, if I give him free play and he finds a marker somewhere, that's going to end up on the wall. I'm in a rental. That's not going to be fun. So having those across unstructured times, across transitions to and from different activities, those are good times to also have expectations. And then generate buy-in. He helped come up with a lot of these. He's 3, he's got a mind of his own, he's wanting that independence, and it really helped him feel more like he was a part of it. And then I can kind of throw it back on him a little bit too and say, hey, you came up with these. Remember, we worked on these together. So this is the expectation. So we're gonna roll with that. And we said we'd respond in this way. So the biggest thing about responding though, so once you have those things set up and you've worked them out, we're going to get to part 3 of teaching and doing, but you have to also develop your responses. And in doing that, think about things that you can do immediately and consistently. If it's too hard to do it, or if it's not going to work in multiple environments, that might not be the best response necessarily. And especially as a team, if there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, if there's, a teacher and a couple paraprofessional staff in the classroom, we want everybody to be able to do it so that our students are learning that it's going to be consistent across everybody. So again, expectation met, positive reinforce, cheer them on. That's awesome. If they're not met, think about consequences that work in your environment that you can be consistent with, that are logically related, that are developmentally appropriate, that aren't big consequences for small infractions. And when you're delivering them, make sure that you're calmly and respectfully delivering them. You don't want to end up in a power struggle and put a lot of energy into this temper tantrum, and now I'm going to respond to the temper tantrum, and let them negotiate. No, we set an expectation. Here's our boundary. It didn't work out that way, unfortunately, this time. Here's the consequence that we already talked about and agreed upon in the forefront. So now teach it and do it, right? So you come up with your expectations, you got your responses. When you're in the classroom or at home, you can present it in a variety of modalities, a variety of ways. Let's think about in the classroom, universal design for learning. We might have it verbally said at the beginning of the class period. We might have it posted on school walls. We might be modeling it ourselves. I'm not going to run in the hallway if my expectation is that you guys don't run in the hallway. And we might be shouting out and calling out on those students that are doing it, students that are modeling it too, right, in a classroom setting, or big sibling or little sibling if you're in a home environment. You want to review it regularly too, and especially if it's just something you're starting, like if you're thinking about starting some new expectations for summer, right, because your schedule's going to probably look different. You want to review it pretty regular. You want to maybe do it daily. You want to do it every time you're doing that activity, and then maybe you can fade it a little bit when people are feeling more in the routine. You might want to also have some opt-outs or ways to catch it if it's kind of a bad day. Like, I woke up, it's a Monday, I woke up kind of on the wrong side of the bed today. I might need a couple more shout outs to help figure out oh yeah, okay, these are my options. Oh yeah, okay, this is what I get if I'm doing this. I can give you an example of potty training with my 3-year-old right now. He has the expectation when the timer goes off, he goes potty, because I'm so fed up with accidents and we only have so many pairs of underwear and shorts. And so if he doesn't go when the potty timer goes off, I can remind him. If it's kind of a day that I'm noticing he's already struggling a little bit with that, I might say, hey, remember, if you go when the potty timer goes off, you get a gummy bunny. If you want to go before the potty timer goes off, you get a chocolate, like those he really likes chocolates. So he's like, no, I don't want to. Okay, cool, no problem. But when the timer goes off, you will have to go. If he's still giving me guff about it when the timer goes off, I might remind him, hey, if you can go by yourself, you get that gummy bunny still because you're meeting that expectation. But if I have to lift you up and take you or help you get there or help you get your step stool out or something, then unfortunately I won't be able to give you that gummy bunny, right? Because you didn't earn it. So, and maybe he's having a tough day. So you could say, hey, you're having a really tough day. If you need a minute, we can take a minute. You can go have this space that I've designated. I see that a lot in classes, a reset or a break space, or you can take a break card and say, I will get to it. I just am having a tough time and I need a little bit more time and space to figure out how to navigate this. So hopefully those are a little bit helpful. I can give the example. Ooh, I thought I got my screen in a better spot, but I didn't. I can give the example of our bedtime routine. The other night, I was getting hit in the face with legs, and so we came up with calm body, quiet body, and eyes closed for bedtime. And it doesn't always work, but at least I can say, oh, you're not doing it, so I'm going to walk out of the room, and I can't cuddle with you. He really likes me to stay and cuddle. And then I can come back in and check in on you in a little bit. So I'm running out of time, but I wanted to say thank you to the Coming to Pieces Therapeutic Milieu guide. I pulled out what Nick, Lena, Matt, Aaron, and Tara worked really hard on, and they have a synopsis of a lot of great research behind why predictable boundaries is so important. And so I wanted to provide them that, kudos and thank you so much, you guys, for all that work that you did there. And also a link to that if you are working with students, particularly who have an emotional or behavioral disturbances that they're navigating as they're receiving school services. So I hope that this helps you and that you have a fantastic June. I'll see you again in July.